My friend is a woman warder at the Tower of London. He was on duty when an American family approached him. The father, looking very earnest, asked, "So, when is the next election for king? I bet the campaigns get pretty intense. Who are the main candidates running against Charles?" My friend, maintaining his professional composure, explained that the monarchy is hereditary, not elected. The American looked genuinely puzzled and replied, "So, you don't get a vote. That doesn't seem very fair. You guys should really try democracy. It works great for us." He then asked if the crown jewels were real or just good fakes for the tourists. I was managing a small traditional espresso bar in Naples. An American woman came in during the morning rush holding up the line of locals trying to get their quick cafe. She asked for a venti, half-sweet, non-fat caramel macchiato with a pump of vanilla and extra drizzle. I stared at her, then calmly said, "We have cafe or cappuccino?" Bambaisi. She looked at me like I was an idiot and started explaining it again slower. "See? You take the milk, but make sure it's non-fat and you steam it." The man behind her finally sighed and said in English, "Senora, this is a bar, not a chemistry lab. Order a coffee and move on." She left in a huff, complaining about the rude service. I witnessed this at a geothermal spa in Iceland. An American man was hesitant to get into the famous blue water. He called over a staff member and asked with genuine concern, "Is this water heated by a nuclear reactor because it has that weird color and I don't want to get radiation poisoning? My wife is worried about it making her infertile." The Icelandic staffer was completely baffled. He tried to explain geothermal energy comes from the Earth's heat. But the tourist remained skeptical, asking, "So there's no nuclear involvement at all? You're sure? Because it feels unnaturally hot." While working at a grocery store in Germany, I watched an American family experience our checkout process for the first time. The cashier was scanning their items at the usual lightning speed. The mother was in a full-blown panic, fumbling to bag everything as it flew at her. "Can you please slow down?" she pleaded. The cashier just pointed to the bagging counter past the register. They paid confused, then had to awkwardly move their huge pile of loose groceries to the counter, holding up the angry line behind them. The father then exclaimed, "And we have to pay for bags. What a scam. This is the most inefficient system I've ever seen." I was a tour guide in a national park in Queensland, Australia. We came across a large male cassowary. Before I could even begin my warning spiel, a young American woman in the group gasped, "Oh, it's like a giant, colorful turkey. I need a selfie." She started walking towards it, holding out a piece of her granola bar. I had to physically pull her back as I yelled, "Get back here! That bird can disembowel you with a single kick. It's one of the most dangerous animals in Australia." She looked offended. Well, it didn't look dangerous. She pouted. There should be a sign. I just pointed to the massive warning sign right next to the path, which featured a graphic of a cassowary kicking a person. An American exchange student living in my dorm in Japan was having a complete meltdown because the post office had tried to deliver a package while he was out. They left a delivery notice slip. He couldn't understand why they didn't just leave the package on the doorstep. "This is so stupid," he ranted. "I have to go to the post office now. In the US, they just leave it. It's called customer service. Don't they trust people here? I'm going to file a complaint about my package being held hostage." We had to explain that package theft isn't really a thing here because the system is built on security, not convenience. I was on a train from Madrid to Seville. An American couple was sitting across from me looking at a map of the United States. The husband said to his wife loud enough for the whole carriage to hear, "You know, Spain is nice, but it's really just a cheap knockoff of Mexico. The food is similar. They speak the same language. It's like they saw Mexico in the movies and decided to copy it for European tourists." His wife nodded and added, "Yeah, and the portions are so much smaller here. It's like Diet Mexico." Several Spanish passengers just buried their faces in their hands. My uncle is a police officer in a small town in the Netherlands. He once pulled over an American tourist for running a red light on a bicycle. A serious offense here. When my uncle started writing a ticket, the American man furiously yelled, "You can't do this!" "I know my rights, I plead the fifth." My uncle, who had no idea what that meant, just stared at him. The American then demanded to speak to the U.S. Embassy, claiming this was an illegal detention of a U.S. citizen on foreign soil, all for a 60 bicycle fine. I worked for a mobile phone company in South Korea. An American businessman came in furious that his U.S. phone wasn't working. I explained that his device might not be compatible with our network bands and offered to rent him a local phone. He slammed his hand on the counter. "That's impossible. This is the newest iPhone. It's American technology. It should work everywhere. Are you telling me your Korean network is too backward to connect to an American phone? This is an outrage. Get me your manager. I need to make a call to my office in a real first world country." I was guiding a tour group at the Giza Plateau. We were standing before the Great Pyramid and I was explaining its construction around 2560 BC. A man from Arizona, sweating profusely in the heat, interrupted me. "Okay, that's great and all, but where's the elevator, or at least an escalator?" My knees aren't what they used to be. I politely explained that the pyramid was a tomb, not a modern skyscraper, and there were no elevators. He looked genuinely annoyed. "Well, that's a major design flaw. You'd get way more tourists if you made it handicap accessible. You're sitting on a gold mine and not even installing a simple lift." My grandmother runs a tiny family-owned trader in a small village outside Rome. An American family came in and the son, probably about 19, ordered her famous homemade lasagna. When she brought it to the table, he looked at it and said, "Excuse me, can I get some ketchup?" My grandmother, who speaks no English, just looked confused. I translated. Her face went through about 5 stages of grief before settling on pure horror. She started speaking rapidly in Italian, saying it was an insult to her, her mother, and all the saints. I tried to explain to the boy, "Sir, we don't have ketchup. This is a sacred recipe." He just shrugged and said, "Fine, whatever. Do you have any ranch dressing?" Then, I was working the customer service desk at a train station in Switzerland. An American couple missed their train to Geneva. The woman came to me and said, "Hi, we missed the 10:15 train. Can you have them back it up for us?" I thought I misheard. "Pardon?" she repeated. "Can you call the conductor and have him reverse the train back to the station to pick us up, but we were only 2 minutes late." I had to explain that trains are on a strict schedule, and that's physically impossible. Her husband then chimed in, "In America, if the customer is late, they'll hold the plane. It's just good service." An American student in my international politics class at a university in the UK argued that the United States should have a permanent non-voting seat on every other country's parliament. His reasoning was that since American decisions affect the whole world, they should have a say in other countries' laws to ensure they align with global stability and American interests. He was completely serious, suggesting it would be a consultative role to help other nations make the right choices. The professor was so speechless, he just moved on to the next topic. I was a bartender in a very old pub in Dublin. An American tourist ordered a Guinness and then complained it was taking too long to pour. I explained the 2-part pour is essential. He wasn't having it. "That's just inefficient," he said. "You should get one of those soda gun things and just shoot the beer into the glass. It would be way faster. You're losing money with all this waiting." He then proceeded to lecture me on how he would optimize the bar's workflow for maximum profit, completely missing the entire point of the culture and the drink itself. At a beautiful quiet onsen, hot spring in rural Japan, the rules of silence and tranquility were posted everywhere in both Japanese and English. An American family of 4 came in and immediately started talking loudly and splashing around. An elderly Japanese man politely shushed them. The American father responded, "Hey, we're on vacation here, pal. We're allowed to have fun. This isn't a library." He seemed to think the serene, meditative atmosphere was a suggestion, not a strict cultural rule, and that his vacation fun superseded everyone else's peace. I was on a flight from Dubai to New York, sitting next to an American woman. When the flight path showed we were flying over Iraq, she had a full-blown panic attack. She pressed the call button and told the flight attendant, "You need to tell the pilot to fly around this country. They're going to shoot us down. This is a war zone." The flight attendant calmly explained that we were at 38. Cousin fate in a safe commercial air corridor. The woman was unconvinced. "I don't care. I'm an American. That makes me a target. This is an unacceptable risk." My cousin works at the Louvre. He told me an American tourist came up to the Mona Lisa, looked at it for about 10 seconds, and then said to his wife, "It's much smaller than in the movies, and honestly, the resolution isn't great. My iPhone takes sharper pictures than this." He then turned to a guard and asked if they had a 4K version of the painting he could see. Instead, because the original was a bit blurry, I was working at a hotel in Helsinki, Finland during the summer. An American guest called the front desk around 11 p. "My curtains are broken," he said angrily. "They're not making the room dark." I explained. "Sir, it's June. The sun doesn't fully set at this time of year. It's the midnight sun." There was a long pause, and then he said, "So, you're telling me your country doesn't have nighttime in the summer? How do you people even sleep? That's a ridiculous way to run a country, us. You should fix that." An American company sent a representative to our office in India for a business deal. During the first meeting, he kept patting our senior manager, a man in his late 60s, on the head whenever he agreed with a point, saying, "Good job, buddy. It's your attaboy. In our culture, touching someone's head is extremely disrespectful." The room was filled with a horrified silence, but the American was completely oblivious, thinking he was building a friendly rapport. The deal did not go through. I was on a walking tour of Pompeii. The guide was explaining the tragic history of the volcanic eruption. An American woman in the group raised her hand and asked, "Did the people here know they were building their city next to a volcano? That seems like a really dumb place to build a city. Didn't they have, like, geologists or something to warn them?" The guide had to gently explain that. The science of volcanology didn't exactly exist in 79 AD. My friend in Copenhagen had an American neighbor who would let his dog do its business on the sidewalk and just leave it there. When confronted, the American said, "What's the big deal, hun, in my city? We have street cleaners for this kind of thing. It's their job. I'm creating employment for the city workers." He genuinely believed he was performing a civic duty by not picking up after his dog, assuming that Danish city services operated exactly like his hometowns. At a vineyard in Bordeaux, France, the slayer was giving a detailed tasting, explaining the terroir and the subtle notes of the wine. After a sip, an American tourist declared loudly, "This is pretty good. But do you have anything sweeter, like a white Zinfandel? Or maybe you could just put some ice, and a little Sprite in this one for me." The sommelier looked as if he had been physically struck. He just turned around and walked away without saying another word. I was working at a bookstore in Edinburgh. An American tourist came in and asked where our fiction section was. I pointed it out. He then asked, "Okay, but where is the Harry Potter section?" I explained the books were in the fiction section under R for Rowling. He looked confused. "But it's not fiction," he said with complete sincerity. "It's a true story. Right, I thought this was where it all happened. I wanted to see if you had any of the original textbooks from Hogwarts." An American tourist in Vietnam was trying to cross a busy street in Hanoi. He was standing on the corner waiting for a complete break in the endless river of motorbikes, which never comes. After 5 minutes, he started yelling in frustration. "Doesn't anyone follow the rules here? Where are the traffic lights? Where are the crosswalks? This is complete chaos. How does anyone get anywhere?" A local man next to him just smiled, stepped into the traffic, and walked slowly and steadily to the other side as the bikes flowed around him. I was a student in Austria, and an American classmate was complaining about our grading system. "Why do you guys use numbers 1 through 5? It's so confusing. In America, we have A, B, C, D, F. It's simple, and everyone understands it. It's the universal standard for grades. We tried to explain that it's not universal, but he insisted that our system was backward and that the university should adopt the CSMA, American letter grade system, to get with the times and be more globally competitive. At a cafe in Morocco, I saw an American woman trying to order a mint tea. The waiter brought it out and began the traditional high pour to aerate it. The woman shrieked, "Stop it! What are you doing? You're spilling it everywhere and it's going to get cold." Just put the teapot down on the table like a normal person. She completely ruined the ceremony and then complained that her tea didn't taste right. My brother is a chef in a high-end restaurant in Lima, Peru. A diner from the US sent back his plate of ceviche. When my brother went to the table to ask what was wrong, the man said, "This fish is raw. You didn't cook it. Are you trying to poison me? I'm going to get worms." My brother spent 10 minutes trying to explain that ceviche is supposed to be raw fish cured in citrus juice, a cornerstone of Peruvian cuisine. The man refused to believe him and demanded a fully cooked steak instead. I was on a bus in rural England going through the beautiful countryside. An American tourist sitting near me said to his wife, "This is all very pretty, but it's so inefficient. Look at all this empty green space." In the States, this would all be developed. There'd be a Walmart over there, a strip mall here. They're wasting so much valuable land just letting it be grass. He saw the historic protected landscape not as a cultural treasure, but as a failed business opportunity. An American was visiting our software company in Estonia. He was amazed by our digital infrastructure and e-residency program. He then asked our CEO, "This is amazing for such a new country. When did you guys get your independence from Russia?" Our CEO replied, "Well, we initially declared it in 1918, but we regained it in 1990. The American nodded and said, "Wow, 1991. So you're younger than the internet. That's crazy. It's amazing what you've accomplished without any real history to build on."